Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blue Clouds TV. It's flight number 124 airborne. Welcome back to Blue Clouds TV channel again. It's a weekend of action galore happening on Old Trafford and also another action happening in Stamford Bridge. Lukaku was showing his supremacy, so is Ronaldo. The talking point in the news media was Ronaldo and Lukaku, who is going to be the top goal scorer at the end of the season. No one knows yet. Also, it's early days yet. But today I'm happy to be joined here by another wonderful friend from Twitter, and also a friend that have joined me here before. And also his knowledge about the game is always incredible. Before I introduce him to the stream, guys, if you're first time watching Blue Clouds TV channel, do me a favor, just subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also share the video on any platform that you found yourself. And this is my wonderful friend here. How you doing, QB?
Hey man, how you doing? It's really great to be back. I think we had a really interesting stream last time that went really well with some great interactions. So, I mean, it's been an interesting weekend. It's nice to be back from the international break, and look forward to digging into what we're talking about today.
Oh yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about today, QB. You'd be amazed. We have so many things to talk about. The Ronaldo's inclusion. Ronaldo's second coming. We will talk about that, and also Lukaku's incredible brace that they have against Aston Villa. So yeah, what's your take on the inclusion, the return of Ronaldo, QB?
Well, it's I think it was inevitable that he would score a goal. I think what I think is scary as a Chelsea fan is that for Man United, it's made them scary again. I think before Ronaldo joined, I think they'd had a really strong squad, but they did lack two key areas. One for me was a striker, and the other was defensive midfield. Defensive midfield may still have a bit to be desired in terms of they may not have exactly who they want, but in a striker like Ronaldo, I think for his age and the price that they've got him for, when you consider how fit he is as a person, like he may be 36, but he's so fit and takes care of his body so well. He's an asset that will last at United for a great 3 years. And I mean, look how great it's done for their finances already. They've sold a ridiculous amount of shirts, and I think they broke the record for 24 hours of sales and shirts. And yeah, I mean, the first goal he got obviously was a lucky tap in off of the rebound of the keeper, and then his second goal was really well worked. I mean, in front of the Stretford end, and I think even as a Chelsea fan, I found myself watching the highlights and smiling as he spins around and does his Sue celebration, and everyone's replicating it in the ground. It's iconic, and he's going to score a lot of goals this season. I mean, I don't know if he'll play as much as Lukaku because obviously he is a touch older, even though he takes care of his body very well. I think they'll rest him for a lot of cup games and things like that. But in terms of the league, he's already looking extremely dangerous, and it makes Man United genuine title contenders.
Absolutely, I will not disagree with what you just said. I felt the same way sitting down in this chair. The first goal, I was like, oh, this is just a tap in. But the second goal, when the second goal came in, I was like, damn. I felt with so much goosebumps. I was like, man, this is what the Premier League it's all about. This is what make the Premier League spectacular. As of now, we can't argue anymore. I know a lot of people still want to argue about the best league in the world. If you have Lukaku, the top, one of the top goal scorers in the Serie A, in the Italian league, is now in the Premier League, and then also the top goal scorer in the Italian league is now also in the Premier League. What else can we supporters be looking for? We all celebrate greatness. So no matter where you are, as a Chelsea fan, I'm always also very happy to welcome Ronaldo to the Premier League, but I don't want Ronaldo to put in any shift against Chelsea.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we're gonna move on. What do you make of that spectacular double save from Eduardo Mendy? Does that make Mendy a world class goalie?
We've had some interesting conversations about this across Chelsea Twitter and elsewhere, and I think Mendy is, for me, one of the most underrated goalkeepers in the Premier League. I mean, I think part of that is because of his age and because of his like how long he's been in the league. I mean, he is almost 30, and obviously he's not had like technically like a full season yet in the league. But he's proven time and time again for us why he's so important to Chelsea at the moment. I mean, you could argue with not even just the double save, but the others, all the other saves he made in that first half when we were really up against it. We could have been even losing by half time, were it not for Mendy and the exploits of Thiago Silva as well. But he's a really commanding presence. He really like marshals that defense in front of him, and he takes control. I mean, he had one iffy moment. I remember, I think it was the second half maybe, where he went for a cross and I think someone headed it instead of him going to catch the ball. But I mean, most of the time he's such a commanding presence and he really knows what he's doing with him at the back. I mean, as opposed to say Kepa, I think they if your defense knows you've got a good goalkeeper behind you, it makes them more confident as well. So he's just so important for me as it stands, like at the present day, he's probably the best goalkeeper in the league in terms of pure form. But obviously, as I said, I think the mainstream press might take a good few months to maybe get there. Like if he's still showing this same form come December, maybe into the new year, he will be kind of undisputed because then he's had like a full calendar year in the league to prove that he's the best. But for now, he'll still have a lot to prove to some people. But for Chelsea fans, undisputed, he's an unbelievable goalie, and we're so lucky to have him.
That's right, absolutely. That's right. You've nailed the. I mean, you hit the hammer on the nail. That's right. I think by the time he's done with the whole season, he will be getting close to Alisson and then the other one from Manchester City, what the Brazilian goalkeeper from Man City,
Edison.
Edison, Alisson and Edison. Those two Brazilians, yeah, two Brazilians who are fighting for the number one spot. So yeah, I'm sure by the time we can get close to maybe a semi-finals of the in Champions League again or the quarterfinals, we can tell that Mendy is still there because he's keeping clean sheet, and that's the best thing that everybody wants to see a goalkeeper does. Keeping clean sheet makes him so make him a world class goalkeeper. Since he's been with the club since January that he came in, he kept
Yeah.
lots of clean sheets, and he's been world class as well. So we'll hope to see him in the news media when people put him close to Edison and then Anderson, I guess. So
Yeah,
yeah. So now another talking point in Twitter and everywhere. Kovacic scored his first goal for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Should Kovacic improve on his goal scoring ability, or do you we should or do you think Chelsea fans should just take it that Kovacic is attribute is not meant to be scoring goals? We should just take him the way he is.
You know, I was listening to Alex Goldberg's podcast yesterday, and he made a great point that, you know, I think Saul came into the team to kind of do exactly what Kovacic actually did yesterday, which was, you know, to be progressive with his passing, to be a bit more aggressive in the attacking phase, to, you know, to take advantage of those dribbling skills that he's got, because we all know he's done it, but time and time and time again, he's gotten into a great attacking position, and then either the final pass hasn't been right or the shot has just gone straight into Rosette. Whereas I feel that game yesterday proved to us that he can do it, and I think it's partly influenced by Saul coming in, because I imagine Tuchel would have said to Kovacic, if you at the moment you're the third place striker in the team, midfielder in the side. Now Saul's come in, he's a similar level to you. You now have to fight for more minutes. You've got to fight for your place. How is Kovacic going to do that? Well, he needs to do what he's not been doing, which is hitting the back of the net and being more important in that final third. So yesterday, I imagine Tuchel must have spoken to him and said, "Yeah, look, you need to improve in this area," and he's really taken it on, as Tuchel's done in the past with players like Marcus Alonso and Jorginho, and getting the Rudiger, getting the absolute best out of his players. That's exactly what he's doing with Kovacic here, because I don't. In answer to your question, whether he needs to be scoring more goals, I would say yes, but there needs to be a limit to how much that is, because I wouldn't expect Kovacic to be I wouldn't expect him to get 5 to 10 goals in the Premier
We
League.
don't.
But even if it's just,
Yeah, you're right.
um,
I mean, I'm also sharing the same opinion, just like you said. I'm not expecting Kovacic to score. I mean, to have double digits, of goals in the midfield, but we expect him to at least 5 goals or 6 goals a season. Will be much more appreciated for Chelsea fans. You can go ahead.
I mean, even just 3 or 4, because I mean, the thing that can, I guess, matters to me, and again, Alex Goldberg and Matisse raised this great point, is that even if he's just scoring 3 or 4, the point is that the defense for the other team then have something to think about when he's on the ball. Because at the moment, I think Kovacic in the final third gets a lot of free space because defenders don't expect him to score. They expect him to just shoot and throw it into row Z, or that he'll just put a terrible pass in that will go straight to
Right.
defenders. If he can start scoring on a slightly more regular basis, even if it's just an option, defenders have to think twice and go, "Oh, I guess I have to close him down to stop the shot." And then that opens up space in behind for players like Havertz and Mount to come and drop into that space. So it creates another issue for the opposition, and it creates another attacking avenue for us. So that's really important to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, QB. And then also another talking point after the game, Callum Hudson-Odoi. I know Tuchel said he blocked him from going to Borussia Dortmund, which is more understandable. We need more players in that position, should in case of injuries and stuff like that. But do you think it was the right decision that Tuchel took for the young lad?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird one because Cho didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a great game. And to me, that was a bit of an issue. I mean, Tuchel probably made the right decision in that game because I mean, Aston Villa are a good team, but they do allow us to be more advanced with our wing backs. So it gave Cho a bit more of an option to go forward. And then obviously, for the last 30 minutes, he gets put in his more favoured position at the left of the attack. Which, but the disappointing thing for me was that when he was on that left of the attack, I'm thinking, right, now he's where he wants to be positionally. That's, where he's excelled in the past under Zari, and at youth level as well. And then he has that, for me, Hudson-Odoi has that thing where he gets in a great position, looks like he's about to take on a defender, and then just kind of stops and will maybe like pass backwards
Right.
or take an easy option. And he just needs to be a bit more risk taking, I guess is the right word. He needs to take more risks because there are so many players above him in that position that will take over. I mean, at right wing back, obviously Reece James was suspended today in that position, and as Piliqueta can play there. And then on the left side of attack, I mean, you've got 5 or 6 players probably ahead of Cho who can play there. So I think if I was being honest, I would have preferred to have seen him go on alone. But if he's to stay here, at least for the full season, maybe he'll move in January. But if he does stay for the full season, for me, he desperately needs to have some great games. Otherwise, he is just not going to see any minutes going forward. Like, he needs to be playing in cup games, and when he's playing in those cup games, he needs to be delivering top class performances because otherwise, there's just simply too many players ahead of him to get a chance for minutes.
And I don't think he really take the opportunities that Tuchel gives him. I mean, he Tuchel gives to him. What I'll say is that, look, as a footballer, we one way or the other, we've all played football before. Sometimes not professional level, but then when you're given opportunity to play in certain position, you have to play your best. It don't matter. It don't matter if that position is not your favorite position, but put in the shift, defend very well, 1-on-1. He's good. I like Callum Hudson-Odoi because he's my fellow countryman. He's a Ghanaian, in the same way I'm a Ghanaian, so I know him very well, and I love him. And I want him to be just like the Michael Essien did. Michael Essien is another Ghanaian who he came in and then he put his mark on the floor that I am taking this position as a defensive midfielder. He plays as an attacking midfielder for the national team, but then he plays as a DM for Chelsea. Callum Hudson-Odoi has been given the opportunity many times, and then he takes a man on, but then his finishing, I don't know if he's not really working on his finishing. I see him in trainings that he does it very well, but then he cannot implement what he does on training into game time, and that's what frustrates me. And then we saw him when Tuchel moved him from the right wing back to his favorite position. Still could not take it. I feel like this is the right time for Callum Hudson-Odoi to be able to prove to Chelsea fans and the coach that Pulisic is out right now for a little bit. I have to take my chances because when Pulisic is ready, Callum won't get that chance. That's what I feel.
Absolutely. I think as well, you talk about Pulisic as well. I think an important thing for a young winger, especially, is momentum. So, once you get enough minutes and you start putting in some good performances, you will then get more minutes and you can build on those performances and keep going and keep improving. Whereas the way our squad is structured at the moment, Cho just isn't getting momentum. He's getting 20-minute performances here. He's getting a start at right wing back, which is where he wants to be. He gets like 60 minutes, in his preferred position, and I worry for him because I just think he's been at the club. If you think about it, he made his 100th appearance in the last game, and that's a lot of games to still be a player that's viewed as a player with just potential rather than being like a great player. And I think I mean he's still young, obviously. I mean he is only I think he's 20, but
Yeah.
at the same time eventually you have to get to a point where you go from being a player with potential to genuinely being at the proper level because there's plenty of players around that age. You
Right.
look at Jadon Sancho who's just moved for 80 million to Man United, and you look at I mean another example I think of that didn't do that is Ross Barkley, who was a great young player who had a lot of potential and just never quite got to the level we expected.
Ruben too.
And
Ruben.
yeah,
He's fading
exactly.
out.
So yeah, so for now, I mean, he is a bit younger than those guys, but the amount of appearances he's made at this point, um, and the sort of, as you say, lacking of taking the opportunities when he's got them, I'm really concerned for the guy. He needs to be careful and he needs to perform at the top level at all times. And if he's still not getting to that level by January, I honestly would be seeking a move, even if it's just for 6 months, just to get regular minutes because he desperately needs it.
I feel like he definitely really have to go on loan because he has to go through the rank. If you don't go on loan, you wouldn't really know what it feels like. Look at Mason Mount. Look how good Mason Mount is right now because he went to Vitesse, Amsterdam. He went through it. He played very good. Then Lampard thought like, hey, I think this guy is ready. So he has to get out of Chelsea, get out of the shells, go somewhere else, and get more game time. He won't get that much game time at Chelsea because of the pressure that Chelsea gives to the coaches. And the coaches are already under pressure. The first day they put the pen on paper, pen and sign their signature on the paper because they want you to deliver. Trophies is what Chelsea is. Success, trophies is what Chelsea is always looking for. So if Callum Odoi is not ready, they're not gonna sit down and wait for him to be ready. They'll move on you. They'll put someone in that will give them results. Look at Tuchel realized that he has injuries in his midfield. So what he did, as soon as he knows there was a deal there for Saul, he just jump on it. They were looking for Kunde. It couldn't. It wasn't. I mean, it didn't succeed. But then they found that Saul was ready. Then they jump on it to bring Saul in because he doesn't want to fail. He wants to be successful. He wants to continue the progress of where the club or the team is at this moment. So I think that January I'll prefer Callum to move on somewhere else and get much playing time. So
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree there, and I think it's just incredibly important for his development. I think he's at a fork in the road now, and I think we have players in the squad who are even similar, as you mentioned. Ruben is another great example of that, who needs to get minutes because, yeah, as you say, our club's a ruthless club. We demand trophies as fans, but you can't demand trophies and then demand minutes for players who aren't performing at the level of some other players in the team. It's a harsh reality of football at the highest level, isn't it?
right, yeah. Got a lot of players, the squad depth, and then all that stuff. It's going to be very difficult for some young players to get that much time if they're not proving, they're not really telling the coach that I'm ready to play in this position. Yeah, and we're gonna move on to the last but one. Chelsea have now won 600 games in the Premier League, close to Manchester United of the 98, 698 or 689 right now. It's been impressive. Lukaku is making records. Chelsea also making records. I think that 600 games, so very, very much impressive. Concerned to Liverpool, I don't know why Liverpool haven't made that record yet. I don't know.
they had a good decade or so when Chelsea and United were dominant from 2004 to around 2014 era where they were just not great. They were sitting around the top four and sometimes not even in the top four. I
Almost
think
about
that they had
15 years.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they finished like seventh or eighth on a few occasions, so that probably makes sense as to why they've not won as many.
Yeah. Also, one more question to go. We saw three strong strikers. A lot of them were on their first game, the debut, which we saw Cristiano Ronaldo score a brace. Romelu Lukaku also score a brace, and also Hudson Edouard, whatever they call him, Hudson Edouard also. He came in within 15 seconds or something. He had his first goal, and then another goal. He also had a brace. So what are we looking at? Cristiano Ronaldo, Lukaku. Or is it too early to predict that these two guys are gonna have the golden boots, concerning most highlights also scoring goals? What do you make of the
Yeah, I
goal?
mean,
What do you make of the golden boots race?
it's fascinating, isn't it? I
It
think it's
is.
genuinely one of the first years where we genuinely just don't know who's going to come out on top. I mean, you look at the teams like Edouard, who had a great debut.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like he won't be up there just purely because of the style of the way Palace play. They're spending most of their time defending, so he's just not going to get as many opportunities as one of the top six teams. I think Salah, as you mentioned, is a really great underrated shout. I think people underestimate just how good Salah is. Breaking 100 Premier League goals in 162 games is an incredible record. And he's been performing consistently for the past few years now. I mean,
Right.
he's won at least one Golden Boot, if not two, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to keep performing in this team. I mean, if you look at Liverpool's side yesterday against Leeds, and you look at where their goals are most likely going to come from, it's always looking like Salah. So I think he's going to get a lot. Lukaku and Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo's like an interesting one because he's just an inevitable player. I mean, like he just gets goals from anywhere, as you've seen yesterday from just that tap in and things like that. Like he always finds a way to score. But that being said, I think there's a lot more. What makes the difference between me and like Chelsea and Man United is that Man United have a lot of players that can score goals. Like the Bruno Fernandes. Martial hasn't been scoring, but he might. You never know. Jesse Lingard can score goals. Mason Greenwood's a great goal scorer as well. Whereas, and they have like a lot of options across that front line. In
Right.
Chelsea's team, you look at who's going to score goals for sure, and Lukaku, who's like the only one essentially. Like there's going to be a lot of goal contributions from players like Havertz and Mount, but you look at last season when Jorginho was top scorer, Lukaku's our only guaranteed goal scorer. So for that reason, I think Lukaku might have the edge on Ronaldo in a Golden Boot race because if anyone's going to score for Chelsea, it's going to be him.
Right.
Whereas for Man United, it could be any one of 4 or 5 players. So yeah, it's impossible to say for absolute certain, but maybe my bias is included here. But I would be edging towards Lukaku getting that Golden Boot this year.
I agree with you. QB. I definitely agree with you. And this is what I was also saying. See, with Manchester United, they are gonna be looking at one specific player, which is Ronaldo. So whoever gets the ball is looking for the Ronaldo to finish, and that will weigh Ronaldo down within the course of the season. But then with our team, we have lots of goal scorers. We have Mount that can shoot from any angle. Lukaku does the same thing. Kai Havertz can do with his head and then on his feet. And also we can have if you're lucky, maybe Saul can come in and get us some goals from the midfield. So we have lots of Ziyech also on a good day. He can give us some nice crosses, which can go into, so we have so many options coming up. Defense and DM, we're good, which Man United don't have. So once an injury is set in right now, if I wouldn't, I don't, I'm not a guy that like to wish injuries on players. But let's say, should in case it could happen to our team, it could happen to Lukaku, and then we'll be going back to look for Timo Werner, who will be wasting all our chances. I hope that Timo Werner will get his game back and then start scoring some goals and play with Lukaku. Let's see what the intimation between, those two players will how they're gonna perform on the pitch. I don't know if you have any other thing you want to add to this, the aftermath of the weekend games and then Chelsea game. Do you have any other thing you want to add to it before we conclude this segment?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I think it's just going to be such an interesting season. That's the only other thing I would add to it because you look at the 4 games in and you look at the league table and it's, us, it's Man United, it's Liverpool and it's Man City. And, Man City grinded out another difficult win this weekend, 1-0
Right.
against Leicester, which I think a lot of people actually almost forgot about based on all the other things going on, with Ronaldo and Chelsea and everything. So I think this season in general is already, we're only 4 games in, but it's looking like it could be the most exciting Premier League season we've had in years. We could have a genuine 4-horse race on our hands. And for me, that is so exciting. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same way. It's going to be one of the most exciting Premier League and very very competitive. Uh, I mean, much more competitive than the other previous years, the past 2 years, because I feel like the gap that's going to be between Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, and even Chelsea, Liverpool, and then Manchester City will be maybe about 6 point or 10 points different, which will be very very close. And I see the only place that I see right now, I see Manchester City struggle.
Really? Why is that?
All right, this is how I'm gonna explain to you. I feel like the signing of Jack Grealish is not the best for Manchester City because I listened to one of Pep Guardiola's press conference, and the journalist asked Pep, "Are you okay with seeing Jack Grealish being fouled 1,000 times in the ball without progressing with the ball?" It's just like when you see other players being tagged as the most fouled players in the league. Hazard did it, Messi did it, but those players always transform those foul elements into goals. They keep going, go forward. But this is what I've seen from Jack Grealish. That is why, to me, I don't rate him and I don't see him because he's not a match-winning player. He won't. He doesn't decide a game for you. He's just gonna come in, and what he does is he does the same thing Neymar does. He hold on to the ball, he gets to the defender, then he turns around and shows his back to the defender and trying to use his butt to push the defender away. And that's when defenders get, fouled him, they kick him because they get upset. So, and with when that happens, he doesn't progress with the ball. He doesn't go into the 18. He's always around the 18. That's when he gets those fouls. He doesn't get goals. If I ask people, how many goals did Jack Grealish did he really get? Did he get double digits? It's always single numbers. So, and then the team that he's playing now, holding on to the ball, there are a lot of match winning players in that team. So, is Jack Grealish going to get you goals for Manchester City? Look how difficult it did. I mean, it was for Manchester City to win that game by what's his name, Bernardo Silva. Is it Bernardo Silva? I think Bernardo. Yeah, something like that. So
That's right.
I have that problem. I think Manchester City will struggle a little bit without a recognized number 9. I don't know about you.
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what they, because they're so versatile. And City have like, even when they had Aguero, they were never playing with like a true striker. Because I mean, like, in the last couple of seasons, when City have won the league, Aguero hasn't even been playing that much. And these days, Jesus has been playing at right wing instead of striker, which I find an odd choice because I always thought he was more of a striker. But I mean, yeah, I see where you're coming from. They might struggle to score goals the further the season progresses and the further teams figure out the way Man City play. So that is an issue. I also think as well on switching to another team, Liverpool might also struggle just on a depth basis.
Right,
Just
right.
because they haven't made many signings this season. If I mean they made Kanate, who's not even played a senior game yet, and now they've just lost Harvey Elliott to a major injury that could be that could be his entire season done.
And
Um,
go ahead.
yes,
Go ahead.
go on.
And Manny's even struggling to score goals. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
It could be Chelsea United again, which that really, I mean, as much as I hated it back when I was younger,
Yeah.
I'm really excited because, back in the day, I just want to say this as well. I hated Man United because I was a kid when we were first winning the league. I think I was 8 years old when we first won the Premier League. And as we went through the years, I had so many childhood moments ruined by Man United winning the league. And they won the Champions League as well. And I hate them. But at the same time, it was so exciting, that two-horse race between us and United, the two best teams in the world at the time, going head to toe. Ronaldo versus Drogba. Lampard versus Scholes, Vidic versus Terry. It
Yeah.
was so exciting, and I'd love to have that. But I think Chelsea versus Man United this year is genuinely looking like it could be one of the most exciting games of the season. I don't know about you, I'm so excited for that, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I can't wait. I'm even preparing. I've been trying to get one of those United YouTube content creators to be able to do that preview with me on that big game coming up. Hey guys, this is where the stream is gonna end us today, but I'm gonna let my great guest that I have here, QB, let him say final words, and I'm gonna have his description, his link, his Twitter page, and everything in the description below. Follow him. He's a great guy with the Chelsea family. He knows much more in-depth analysis of the game, and he's a very good friend. You guys can follow him up, and you can get hold of him. Get hold of him. If you're a YouTuber, you want him on your channel, get hold of him. He will be right there. He won't disappoint you at all. QB, what do you want to say before we end the stream?
All good, man. Really appreciate that really kind message there. It's always nice to hear, and yeah, I really enjoy these chats. Anytime a chance to chat about Chelsea is always exciting to me, no matter who it's with. So this was great fun. I really enjoyed it, and look forward to coming on next time. Really appreciate you, man.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you here, QB. You're an amazing person. And then, guys, if you're first time watching Blue Clouds TV, don't forget subscribe, like the video, and share the video on any platform that you find yourself. We'll be right back with a match preview for the Zenit game tomorrow, so watch out for that. Don't go anywhere. You're the Sperandos. I'm going to hope.